Good morning, students of Standard 9. Welcome back to the last session of this topic, Jainism and Buddhism. So today in our topic, we are going to deal about the decline of Buddhism. What were the reasons that led to the downfall of Buddhism? So we'll analyze each point step by step. Clear? So the first reason was split in the Buddhism. As I told you, the Buddhist Sangha later on split into two different sects, that is the Hinayana and Mahayana, because both of them did not accept each other in their principles. Both had discourse over their principles, and it was believed that after that 16 other sects had their own different followers. Now which one to be perfect, which was correct, led to the confusion. So as a result, slowly Buddhism began to decline. That was one of the cause of the split of the Buddhism into two sects, the Hinayana sect and the Mahayana sect. Clear? Second, we have the language. The language also served as an important point for the decline of Buddhism, because when Buddha was preaching, he preached in the common language of the people, that was Pali. But after his death, again Sanskrit became the vital language, or became the good language, or the common language of the people. Now the language problem again created a bar, and as a result, Buddhism began to decline. Because now Sanskrit was, I told you beforehand, very difficult language for the common people to understand, and so slowly Buddhism began to lose its importance. Clear? Next we have the corruption in the Sangha. As the Sangha became most powerful institutions, they acquired lot of donation, land grants and wealth. So these people, the monks and the nuns, they began to lead a very luxurious life and comfort, and so they forgot the moral values and discipline laid by Lord Buddha, and they did not care for the disciplined life which Buddha had told them. So they began to lead a life of luxury comforts, and so as they more began to acquire more lands, more wealth, they became more corrupt and luxurious. So as a result, Buddhism slowly began to decline. Then at the same time, the reform in Hinduism. What is reform? That means the Hinduism began to gain more and more popular because it tried to reform the religion. That means it has certain ills that prevailed in the Hindu society. It began to check that, because Hinduism was losing its popularity when Jainism and Buddhism came. So it began to take the reform. It tried to wipe away the evils that pertained in the society, in the Hindu religion. So what it did, it carried on the good points of Jainism and Buddhism, and slowly it tried to do away with the evils that was prevalent in the society. So as a result, Buddhism became less importance, and people of different faith that came from foreign countries began to accept Hinduism, and many of them got converted into Hinduism also. So that was also a major reason for the decline of Buddhism. Next we have the invasions, the foreign invasions. What are foreign invasions? That means during the 8th century BC, the Turkish invasions came and gave a death blow to the monasteries, and it was believed that they destroyed the monasteries, carried away the enormous wealth and treasure that the monasteries had, and as a result Buddhism got a death blow. Many of the wealth was carried away, and the important institutions like the Nalanda, the Taxila University were ruined. As a result, Buddhism slowly began to decline. Then the last point we have end of the royal patronage. Now, the time of Ashoka, Kanishka and all, so these rulers, they patronized Buddhism, they gave ample donations of land grants, money to flourish this religion. Even they propagated this religion to different places by sending the followers to preach the religion in different parts of the country. Like I told you, Ashoka sent his daughter Sangamitra to preach the doctrines of Buddhism to Sri Lanka. So now after that death, the royal patronage began to decline. The king did not favor them. Now when the Rajput rulers came, the Rajputs are warlike. So I told you, victory or death was their only slogan. So they performed death to dishonor. And so they gave up the principle of ahimsa. It had no meaning in their life. So therefore, the Buddhist philosophy slowly began to down because the Rajput rulers were warlike, born rulers, Kshatriyas, and they gave up. They did not like the concept of ahimsa because they were born fighters. So this also gave a death blow to the Buddhism. Then at the same time, the Gupta rulers came. The Guptas were followers of Brahminical faith, followers of Hinduism. So they gave immense importance in building the temples in the favor of Hindu gods and goddesses. As a result, Buddhism, Buddhist temples and monasteries were not properly looked down. They did not care to develop this. So as a result, Buddhism declined to the greatest extent. So these were the major causes that led to the decline of Buddhism. Now we will read about what are the similarities of Jainism and Buddhism. So similarities means what are the same features that Buddhism and Jainism taught us. So the first phase we have the Buddha and Mahavira. They were both from the same background. What do you mean a background? That means they came from the same Kshatriya tribe, Buddha as well as Mahavira. They both belong to the Kshatriya clan, or we call it the Kshatriya tribes. That was one. Now second, to attain moksha or nirvana was their basic aim. That means the man's aim was to attain moksha or salvation from the freedom of birth and death. So both of them preached the theory of karma and moksha. Thirdly, they did not accept the Vedas and the Vedangas. So they were against the Vedas and the Vedangas because they said these were all meaningless. Both Buddha and Mahavira condemned the Vedas and Vedangas. As a result, they also condemned the rituals, sacrifices, yajnas and other things. So therefore, they were similar in this regard. Thirdly, we have both of them, for both of them, non-violence or ahimsa was their creed. That means both of them preached the philosophy of ahimsa or non-violence or not to injure any living beings. Both of them preached the same doctrine, that is doctrine of ahimsa. Lastly, the monks and the nuns were the followers of Buddhism and Jainism. They had to renounce the world. That means they have to give up their all worldly affairs and renounce, go and meditate and preach the philosophy of their religion. So therefore, they had to leave everything, their belongings, they have to renounce the world, their life, and go and meditate and teach the doctrines and philosophy of this two religions. So in these five points, we can summarize that both of them were similar in this aspect. Clear? Now, what are the dissimilarities between Buddhism and Jainism? So the dissimilarity, that means the Buddhism, as we follow, was a new religion that time, but Jainism supposed to be prevalent long before, as we see that Mahavira was the 24th Tirthankara. There were 23 Tirthankaras or Acharyas or the teachers that preceded Vardhaman Mahavira. Whereas Buddhism was a new religion. Secondly, the followers of Buddhism, they followed the middle path, neither too harsh, neither too low. They followed the middle path, that is moderate path, that is called the eightfold path of Buddhism. Whereas the Jainism followed the hard penance, severe austerity and sacrifice. So that was the second difference between Jainism and Buddhism. Thirdly, Buddha was silent over the existence of God. He did not raise any question or the existence of God. He was silent over the existence of God, or neither he denied, but he did not comment anything about the existence of God. Whereas Mahavira denied the existence of God. That was the next point. So, the last point is, because of his simplicity in religion and his doctrines, Buddhism spread far and wide, even to distant lands also, apart from the Indian subsoil. Because we have seen many of the rulers that propagated, like China, Tibet, the Buddhism spread there also. Because many rulers took various measures to spread the Buddhism. But the Jainism, as it did not get much of the royal patronage, so it was only confined to the Indian subsoil only. It did not go to far off lands to them. So these were in fact the similarities and dissimilarities between Jainism and Buddhism, Jainism and Buddhism. With this we come to the end of the topic of Jainism and Buddhism. I hope you have understood the topic, and if you have not understood, feel free to ask and raise your questions. But as in this pandemic, take care of your health, and may God bless you. Goodbye.